Hello and welcome back to the Orlando Adventures podcast. I'm your host, Russ, and today's episode is the most overrated rides and attractions one. So this is one of the questions that I ask every single guest on every guest episode of the podcast. And I felt like maybe it'd be only fair for me to potentially answer this question. So because I put it on the guests, and I appreciate that it's probably one of the hardest questions. I appreciate it's one of the hardest questions, and it's always one of the questions that potentially can be one of the controversial ones. It can be one of the controversial ones in the answer given. Obviously, I don't want to go into controversy. I don't want to be controversial. That's not me. It's not what the channel has ever been. But at the same time, everyone's got an opinion. And that is fine. And it's absolutely okay. Everyone's got an opinion on everything to do with Orlando. And that's what makes Orlando brilliant as well. And I've said this a lot of times. The fact that different people like different things and different aspects makes it so magical. It makes it one of these places that we want to keep going back to, or it makes it the place that we want to keep going back to every single year on year, and multiple trips if we can possibly manage it at all. So most overrated, I wanted to obviously I'm not going to do a whole episode and just go my most overrated ride is this, because it's not going to be a very long episode. So a little bit like the hidden gems episode, I am going to give a most overrated for all 4 Disney parks and the 2 Universal parks. I'll also give a most overrated snack from Disney, and I'll give a most overrated snack from Universal as well. So let's get into it. Let's start with Magic Kingdom. Magic Kingdom, let's be honest, is quite an easy one. It's quite an easy one because everybody gives this answer. So I'm not going to kind of like go into it too much. I'm not going to beat around the bush with it. But my most overrated ride from Magic Kingdom is Seven Dwarfs. It just has to be. It has to. It's either that or Peter Pan. It has to be. I toyed with Tron. I'm going to be real with you. I toyed with it, but at the same time, it looks fantastic. It looks fantastic. The IP is good fun. I know a lot of people like Tron. I can't say I've ever seen it, but at the same time, I can appreciate it for what it is, and I can appreciate for Magic Kingdom. Tron, it's a fairly big deal as a roller coaster go, so like not a problem. I think I would have been mean to have gone for it, but Seven Dwarves, I mean, like, it's fun, it's good fun, and I've said this a lot because a lot of people say this is their most overrated, and it is good fun. It's a good ride, but I always talk about the bang for your buck, and do you get that much bang for your buck on this ride specifically? Well, you probably don't. Like, it's very short, and the queue times are always long. And I know I touch on this an awful lot as well, but Magic Kingdom, the reason for that is always going to be because of the height requirements. The height requirements are little to none, so anyone and everyone is going on every ride. So you've basically got the whole capacity of the park able to go on every single ride if they wanted to. And obviously this to young children and to some people feels like a proper thrill ride. And Magic Kingdom hasn't necessarily had lots of thrill rides over the years. So something like this is kind of a step into that direction. But for me, it's got to be. It's got to be Seven Dwarfs for Magic Kingdom. I just couldn't go any other way. And like I said, the other one was Peter Pan. And Peter Pan's Flight, like, again, it's based on the ride time, it's based on the queue times, and you know what, at the end of the day, like, it's one of those, it's just kind of like, it's nostalgia. That's more why Peter Pan is going to be a longer wait time, and I totally get it. So on to the next park. That's Magic Kingdom. We've done the big one, we've done the main one. Let's go to Epcot. So Epcot is difficult because there's not loads of rides. There's not loads of rides that I can think of. And when I talk about most overrated rides and attractions, I always try to think of something that's hyped. It's got to be hyped. So in the nicest way, I can't turn around and say something like Mission Space is most overrated, because because a lot of people don't rate it. A lot of people don't really kind of like hype it or anything like that, and quite a lot of people don't do it. So I can't really go into that. I can't really say that something like Mission Space is a most overrated. Well, the one I'm going to go for, and a lot of you'll probably know this because you know I've spoke about this ride a lot, and it's currently not open, but I'm going Test Track, and until Test Track is replaced with its new updated version, it will be Test Track for me. I've said this a lot. I used to love Test Track. Test Track used to be one of my favorite rides. In fact, when we went on our trip a year ago, I went with my family, and it held a lot of nostalgia for my parents, especially, and my brother. And the first ride we went on at Epcot was Test Track, because to them it held a lot of nostalgia and they remembered what it used to be. And we went on it, and it's just like, but it's not what it used to be. It's just not, and it's a shame. But at the same time, I'm also accepting of the fact that they've acknowledged this and they are updating it. So hopefully, when they do update it, they update it in the right ways. I hope they don't just put an overlay on this ride. If they do an overlay on it, I'm going to lose it, because for me, this is overrated. It is overrated. It's like, personally, I don't feel like a lot happens. The inside bit, I don't really like. It doesn't align with what the current story was. When it used, what it used to be with the kind of like the crash test dummy situation, it made sense. I understood it, and it worked with the ride system. But the kind of like designing your car situation for Chevrolet or wherever it was, to then go through all of these scenarios, it just felt a bit disjointed to me. It felt a bit random. And then the bit outside, which to be fair was always the most thrilling part of the ride, didn't feel that thrilling to me. And I've got to say this, I know that there are people out there who love it, and that's absolutely fine. And like with any of these choices, I'm not trying to bash the ride. I'm like, I love Orlando, as you all know. Like, I wouldn't be doing an Orlando podcast if I didn't absolutely love it. Like, I'm obsessed with it. I really am. I'm obsessed with Orlando, and I'm obsessed with the theme park, and I'm obsessed with the rides as well. So it's only if, like, there are a number of people out there who are like, this is so good, that then I can go, you know what, I could probably put this in a category of overrated. And that's where I put Test Track. Unfortunately for me, it is overrated. I'm glad it's getting an overhaul. We haven't had a lot of information about it at this point. Like, obviously, when it was first announced, there was a bit of info, but there really hasn't been a lot since. So we'll see. We will see. I really, really do hope that they kind of turn it around with this ride, because it could be such a great part of the park as well. I think that it could be such a great attraction, and I'm willing it to be really good. So fingers crossed. I know it's meant to open at next year at some point. I'm not sure when, but whenever I do go next year, I hope to be able to get on it. I really do. It'll be high on the list of things to do, because I really do want it to be good. Next one, then let's go to let's do all of the Disney parks, and then we'll do the 2 Universal. So the next one is, let's go Animal Kingdom, and I'm going to go with the Na'vi River Journey. I think that's what it's called. We're going with it. I don't get it. Like, I like Avatar, and I'm a little bit biased. And the thing is with this, like, I'm always going to be biased, because I'm biased towards the IPs that I like. I'm biased towards the rides that I enjoy. I'm biased towards things like thrill rides, because obviously I enjoy thrill rides. This isn't any of that, in my opinion. It just doesn't do a lot for me. There's not a lot going on. It's just a bit flat for me. I'm not mad on Avatar. I will be absolutely real. I think don't get me wrong. I've watched them. I like the most recent one. I went and watched it day of release. I'm keen on film, as we all know. I will always go and watch Avatar films when they come out, and I will appreciate them. I think they're good. I think the films themselves are overrated. If I'm absolutely real with you, I think that the first film, I quite honestly do not know how it's the highest grossing film of all time. I don't understand it. It baffles me, and it also annoys me, because they re-released it so that it would overtake Endgame, which really winds me up. But yeah, I appreciate it. I appreciate that visually, like, the films are incredible, and like the storylines, they're good. They're good. Just a bit long. But in terms of the ride for the River Journey thing, I like. it just doesn't do a lot for me. So for me, and I know it gets a lot of hype because it's in Pandora, because it's in this area, which obviously looks fantastic, and visually, like I'm saying, like I can't knock it, visually fantastic, but in terms of what the ride is, it's just not a lot. It doesn't do a lot for me. So for me, it's overrated because, and also Animal Kingdom's difficult. Animal Kingdom's difficult because there's not a huge amount in terms of hyped up rides. And I think of hyped up rides and I think of things like Dinosaur. I think of Everest and I think of Flight of Passage. Well, for me, those three are all better. They're all better rides. And obviously there's other attractions as well, but in terms of ones which I like would commonly hear about, people saying that they think are like fantastic rides and attractions, those are kind of the four for me. So I've kind of got to make a pick from one of those, in my opinion, and that's the way that I'm going to go on it. So whether you agree or not, I don't know, but that would be my most overrated ride from Animal Kingdom. Heading on to Hollywood Studios. Now, this one's going to be a little bit longer because I don't want to upset anyone. I really don't. I don't want to upset anyone. But at the same time, I've just got to be real. I've got to be real and I've got to be honest. And I've got to think of what actually is overly hyped for what it is. Now, again, I had a few options here. I'd probably say I got 5 options of hyped up rides in this park. So the 5 options which I think I've got are Mickey and Minnie's, I've got Smuggler's Run, Rise of the Resistance, Rock and Roller Coaster, and Tower of Terror. Now I've got to look at these 5 and I've got to think, what do I think is overrated in these? Rise of the Resistance, take it out of that list. All right, get it gone, because for me, as we all know, Rise is unbelievable. It's not overrated. It is totally, in my opinion, perfection. I love it. I absolutely adore it. So I can't put that in there. For me, I can't put Tower of Terror in there. I love it. And Mickey and Minnie. So I can't put either of those in there. I cannot. Because for me, they're both absolute staples of this park. They really, really are. They're must-dos more than anything. And then the other ones I've got are Smuggler's Run and Rock and Roller Coaster. And I probably could have put Slinky Dog in this as well, but at the same time, I don't think it necessarily gets huge hype. I think it's got long queues, as we know, but like I don't think anyone's hyping this as like the best coaster they've ever been on. If you do, I apologize. I'm not knocking it. I'm just saying that, like, in terms of a coaster, it's more of a junior coaster, in my opinion, which is fine. And unfortunately, I've got to be biased. Smuggler's Run is Star Wars, and I love Star Wars. And being able to pilot, if you can, the Millennium Falcon all day long, like from an absolutely nerding out over Star Wars point of view, Smuggler's Run stays. So I'm really sorry, but Rock and Roller Coaster is my most overrated ride. And I know a lot of you are probably like, what are you on about right now? But for me, it is. And I might have said this before, I'm not sure. But for me, it is my most overrated ride in this park. I think it's okay. And don't get me wrong, like, and I've said this before, I love roller coasters. I consider myself a thrill seeker to an extent. This just doesn't do a lot for me. I'm gonna be honest with you, the Aerosmith kind of like part of it doesn't do a lot for me. It really doesn't. I get it. I do get it. And I get it from a nostalgia point of view. And I get that 20 years ago, this was probably fantastic. But nowadays, for me, it just like, it's not a must ride. It's not. Don't get me wrong, if the wait time was like half an hour or less, I'd do it. Wouldn't even bat an eyelid. At the same time, I've just got to be real to what I would call overrated. And this to me probably sums up overrated, because I see a lot of people talking about this ride and saying that they think it's fantastic and they think that this is such a good ride and such a good part of the park. It doesn't do it for me. It really doesn't. I'm sorry. If I did a keep up there or close, I'm in this park, I think it goes, but I don't know. We'll do a keep update close episode at some point, so we'll see what happens. But I I just cannot get on board with this being like a top tier ride. I really can't. I feel like I'm hating on it a little bit. I'm sorry. But anyone who likes this ride, I am sorry. I like I said, it for me, it's too short. It's too short. It's the bang for your buck scenario again. We've been spoiled. We have been spoiled with long rides over the years, and anything that is immersive. And I don't feel immersed in this attraction or ride at all, in my opinion. So I'm so sorry, but my most overrated ride in Hollywood Studios is Rock and Roller Coaster. So that's the 4 Disney parks. So let's do most overrated snack then, while we're kind of still in Disney. And this is easy. And this is basic and it's easy, but it's a Mickey premium bar. I'm sorry, but like the food on offer in Disney is top tier. It really is. It is absolutely top tier. So am I going to go out there and opt to go for a glorified choc ice as my snack of choice? Absolutely, categorically no. I will go the Mickey ice cream sandwich over it all day long. And I'm biased because I love an ice cream sandwich, but like it knocks it out of the park. But also knocks out of the park. That wasn't intentional. But genuinely, Mickey Premium Bar for me is such an overrated snack. It really, really is. I don't think I'll ever buy one ever again. I have bought one obviously in the past. I don't think I'd ever buy one ever again. Like if I went to an event and they were handing them out, then I would consume many of them. I'm sure I would. I'm not saying it's not a nice snack. I'm just saying that in terms of like what kind of I see people buying, and I think like there's way better options. There's way better options out there. Go and buy something else because there's so much better stuff. So anyway, that was Disney. So Disney, Magic Kingdom, I said Seven Dwarfs. Epcot, I said Test Track. Hollywood Studios, I said Rock and Roller Coaster. And Animal Kingdom, I said the Na'vi River Journey. So that's Disney. That's enough bashing Disney, right? Let's go and bash some Universal stuff. Universal. So let's go to Universal Studios. Right. So again, I'll go kind of go through my options of what I think is overrated. Well, like if I'm honest with you, in terms of the options I've got in this park, in my opinion, the 4 options I've got are Despicable Me, The Mummy, Escape from Gringotts, and E.T. So I've got a decision to make here. Gringotts and Mummy can get out of that list immediately. Like for me, and I've talked about this a lot, immersiveness of Gringotts, fantastic. One of the best in the world. So it stays all day long. The Mummy for me, I love the franchise. I love the look of the ride. I like the story. I like the ride setup. It's not overrated. I think it's a decent dark ride. Now the other 2, we've got Despicable Me, which is a really old ride system that has been used for the 3rd time. It's a franchise that is good fun. Does it do a lot for me? Probably not, but I can still appreciate that it's good fun. I still have enjoyed, whichever Despicable Me films I've seen. And then the other option is E.T. E.T. is obviously about 3,000 years old at this point and has been around since the dawn of time. The film is like, I don't even know how old. The film's old. And the ride system is the same as the day when it came out. So I have a really, really difficult decision to make. Do I upset everyone and say E.T., or do I upset a couple of people and say Despicable Me? I'm just going to go for it. And I'm probably going to upset a lot of people, but my most overrated ride is E.T. I'm so sorry. And it's not hating on it. This genuinely, I remember like going in 1999 when I was a kid, loved it. I absolutely adored this ride. And I'm sorry to my parents because I made them go on this, I think like 5 or 6 times in a row. My poor parents, genuinely, like I loved this ride, and it holds a lot of nostalgia to me. I've gone on this ride multiple times every trip I've ever been. So don't get me wrong, I'm not hating on the ride, but I've got to think of overrated. A lot of people love this ride, and understandably so, and it's from a nostalgia point of view. People are not loving this ride because of what happens in the second half of it. And if you are loving it because of that, I'd love to be in your brain, because what is going on? Like, genuinely, what is the second part of that ride? It is absolutely wild. I don't get it. I don't understand it. It is trippy to say the least. It's a cute ride. I think that's fair to say. But a lot of people absolutely, like, you cannot talk down on ET. You cannot and will not. I'm not trying to talk down on it. So let's get this straight. But for me, it is overrated because so many people say so many amazing things about this ride, which I don't get. In this day and age, I don't get. And I know that it's an absolute staple. I know that. And I know that as a franchise, it's an absolute staple of Universal. So it would be a very, very sad day if they were to ever get rid of it. But for me, it's overrated. I'm going with it. I've said it. I'm gonna stick with it. And you know what? I was originally going to go with Despicable Me because I didn't want to upset everyone. I was, but I've just got to be real to myself, and I'll always be honest with everyone. I will be honest, and I do think it's my most overrated ride in Universal. So come for me, and I'm sorry. I'll talk to anyone about it. I genuinely will. Like, take this the most light-hearted way possible. I am not bashing the ride. It is fun. It's cute, but I just don't get the second half. If the second half wasn't as it is, then I'd lean more towards it just being a true nostalgia trip. But that second half of the ride for me is fairly weird, and more than fairly as well. So anyway, I'm going to head over to Islands of Adventure, and a lot of you know that this is one of my favorite parks. So this is going to be difficult, and I've got to think, what kind of stuff gets hyped in this park? Well, if we kind of do a really quick kind of like trip around the park, Hulk to me doesn't get hype. Spider-Man gets hype. Stormforce Acceleratron, no hype. Then we're heading to Toon Lagoon. So we've got like Dudley Do-Rights and Popeyes. I don't think either of those gets excessive hype. Jurassic Park River Adventure probably does get hype, to be fair. Velocicoaster, absolutely hype. And then we're talking Harry Potter. We're talking Forbidden Journey. I don't think that gets a huge amount of hype nowadays because a lot of people don't go on it because it makes them feel sick. Hagrid's gets a lot of hype. Hippogriff, no hype. There's nothing in Lost Continent, and then there's like the stuff in Doctor Seuss, which one fish, two fish, red fish, blue fish, and Can of Hat, and the High in the Sky trolley train ride thing. I don't think any of those are getting a huge hype. Let's be absolutely real. I forgot Doctor Doom. How did I forget? Idiot. How do I forget Doctor Doom? Probably because Doctor Doom's not getting a lot of hype. Because realistically, I think me and a handful of people are the only people who go on it. But you know what? If I can be the Doctor Doom guy, then I will. Absolutely. So keep tagging me if you are next to Doctor Doom or go on Doctor Doom 100%, because I love it when it comes up. It makes me laugh every time. So anyway, in terms of hype, we said basically, I forgot Kong as well. What an idiot. This is me saying this is one of my favorite parks, then I'm forgetting loads of rides. Pteranodon Flyers, I suppose. Is that shut? Who knows? No, nobody knows. Has anyone ever been on it? Anyway, Spider-Man. We've got that as hype. We've got Velocicoaster, Hagrid's, and did I say another one? Jurassic Park River Adventure. So out of those four, I mean, let's be absolutely honest. Velocicoaster and Hagrid's are not overhyped. They are fantastic roller coasters. They can get out of that list of four immediately. So it's, for me, it's going to be between Spider-Man and Jurassic Park River Adventure. Again, I'm going to upset someone here, and I really don't want to upset anyone. And I love both franchises. So, like, let's get this absolutely straight. I am a huge Marvel fan, and I'm a huge Jurassic Park fan. But my most overrated ride in this park is Spider-Man. I'm so sorry. I love this. Okay. This again. I love this ride. I absolutely adore it. Spider-Man's my favorite Marvel character. Okay. So, like, I am not bashing it, but I do see a lot of hype, and the hype's fine. The hype's fine because it's fantastic. However, I then see overhype. I see people saying that this is the best ride they've ever been on, that this is the best dark ride in the world. Is it the best dark ride in the world? I'm going to say no. And it's exceptional. Don't get me wrong. It is absolutely brilliant. It's a fantastic ride. I love it. Non-negotiable. But if I am absolutely hard pressed to pick a most overrated ride from this park, I've got to go Spider-Man, because I think it gets more hype than Jurassic River Adventure. I think that the hype it gets puts it in the category for most overrated, and it pains me. It really does, genuinely. It absolutely pains me to say it, because I do adore it, and I again, I ummed and ahed about this, and I thought, you know what, I can be absolutely, I could be a cop out. I could make this easy for myself, and I could just say Forbidden Journey, and every single person would just go, "Yep, I agree with you, Russ, like 100%." But I'm not like that. I'd rather be honest with you. I'd rather be honest, and I'd rather say what I genuinely think is the most overrated. And I'm going Spider-Man. So I'd be really intrigued to know what your opinion is on this, because I'm not trying to upset anyone. So if I have upset anyone, I'm sorry. All right, and DM me and tell me, and be like, tell me I'm wrong, because everyone's got an opinion on it, and that's what I absolutely love. And I love that we can have an opinion, but also we can formulate opinions, but have conversations about it as well, and like rationale with each other's. Like, you know, when all of my guests come on, people say things that I don't believe is most overrated or underrated, for example, but I appreciate it, and I can always see the angle which they're coming from. So hopefully everyone can see the angle I'm coming from with Spider-Man as well. I've probably lost a lot of listeners at this point, so I'm so sorry. So anyone who's still with me, thank you. Let's go to most overrated snack. This is so easy. It's so easy because, let's be real, the food in Universal, it's not on the level of Disney, in my opinion, or the standard food isn't. Obviously, things like the Halloween horror, stuff like that, looks incredible. And, you know, if we're talking about like the dining options in terms of the restaurants or like City Walk, you know, fabulous. But if I'm thinking of just like standard theme park food, the most overrated thing for me is their churro. Their churro is as dry as Gandhi's sandal. It is like one of the driest things alive. I'm sure of it. Like, I've bought it a few times, like the foot long churro, and it just is dry. And it comes with like the chocolate sauce, which is like the runniest thing I've ever eaten. Like, like literally, it's just like watered down chocolate. I don't know. Maybe they've improved since last time I had one, maybe a year ago. But the last few I've had have been so dry. So easy one. And that's my cop out answer. That's me going, like, not trying to dig out anything else. So yeah, for me it would be the churro in Universal Studios. This has been an interesting episode. It really has. And I genuinely, I hope I haven't upset anyone, because I do not want to do that. That is not what I'm about. You'll all know this by now. You'll know, because I've apologized about 3,000 times throughout this episode, as I've said all of my answers. But it felt only right. It felt only right, because I ask everybody else in the guest episodes these questions, then why not answer it myself? And you know what? I've really put it on myself, because I ask everyone most overrated ride or attraction for all of the parks. I give everybody like 6 parks to be able to do this. So I've basically given myself the task of giving one in every park, and I've had to give some really tough answers because of that. So feel for me a little bit. Feel for me. But I genuinely, I really hope you've enjoyed this episode. It's been good fun, and I hope that you found it fun. And I'd love to know what your most overrated rides and attractions are as well. So do give me a shout. I'd be really intrigued to know. The Universal ones were tough in my opinion, because because for me, not as many of their rides get hype like the Disney stuff. And I say this quite a lot. The Disney rides get quite a lot of hype, so it can be difficult. But the Universal stuff, like, it felt difficult for me. It felt like a tough choice to make. But you know what? I'm sticking with it. I'm going to stick with ET and Spider-Man. I'm so sorry. So I hope everyone's enjoyed this. Hope everyone's enjoying the Orlando Awards that myself and Parks and Pals have got going on Instagram at the moment. We've got some really, really cool stuff coming up. We've got some really good categories coming up for you all to vote on. One of the categories coming up is best vlogger or vloggers or channel. And it's going to be a real opportunity. I personally wanted this one to be in there because obviously I lean into to having like YouTubers and Instagrammers and content creators on as my guests. I really wanted to have this category in there to really say, to highlight those of you who are putting out fantastic content, and so many of you are, and it'd be really intriguing to see what you all believe is your favorite. And you know what, it's ultimately, it's all personal opinion, isn't it? But it's good fun. Hopefully you're all enjoying it. Hopefully we can do something really fun at the end of the year with it. But until then, I hope you've all enjoyed this episode. I hope that you are all enjoying the podcast. Please do keep sharing. Please keep sharing the episodes when you listen to it. Please do interact with me, comment, like, interact with any posts I put up on Instagram, because I love talking to you all. I really, really do. Don't forget that these go up on YouTube as well. I put them up as a video for YouTube on a Wednesday, and the Friday episodes go up with just the thumbnail on a Friday. So if you know you're at home and you fancy just watching it on your TV and seeing my face as well, then you've got that option. But I appreciate all of you. I really, really do. This channel, it has gone wild. It absolutely has, and I cannot deal with it without all of you. So please keep supporting, and I will keep putting out as much content as I possibly can. We've got some really exciting plans coming up. So until then, I will speak to you all in the next one.